Good morning. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Please welcome Sophia with this morning's announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, September 15th, and is a green day. A and B block health classes will meet in Fuller Basement for class today. All A and B block health classes with Mrs. Uri and Ms. Bailey, classes is in basement for Fuller Hall. Congrats to the newly elected student government officers. Joining President Charlie Moriarty and Vice President Sophia Montague are Treasurer Isaac Lanzini and Co-Secretaries Rain Rashid and Eiley Stratton. Always remember that student government is here for you, so please contact officers or representatives to share ideas and concerns. Juniors and seniors, the University of the South and St. Lawrence University are on campus today for a visit. Please see Naviance or Mrs. Labounty for details and to register. Be sure to check in with your teacher before attending. Juniors and seniors, the deadline to register and pay for the school day PSAT and SAT is today at 3 p.m. Please see Mrs. Labounty with questions. Any international student needing to take the October 11th TOEFL must register with Mrs. McCaffrey in Colby 106 no later than 12 p.m. on Friday. Do you like working with young children? Do you like to travel? Do you like amazing food and exploring new cultures? Are you interested in traveling to India on a school service trip in April 2026 for 2 weeks? If so, please stop into Tinker Health Center today after school to talk with Ms. Gary and learn more about this exciting opportunity. All are welcome this Wednesday to join Writer's Block for a hike up to the Knob in St. Johnsbury to enjoy the view, some snacks, and to share some fall writing. Those who wish to attend the field trip must hand in a signed permission slip. Please stop by Ranger 110 to pick one up before Wednesday. On Wednesday, wear sturdy shoes and bring a fall poem or story that you'd like to share. All are welcome. This month, Book Club wonders, what does it mean to live a normal life? The Convenience Store Woman by Sakaya Murata asks just that, through the eyes of a young woman who is perfectly content working in a Tokyo convenience store until others begin to question her choices. Pick up your copy in the library today and get ready to discuss this witty, offbeat novel on September 24th at 5:30 in the library. Happy birthday today to Caleb Dimmick, Bryce Gordon, Noah Borden, Nico Borden, Jude Rudder, Juan Solana Espada, Albert Gimler, Brody Werner, and Rory Wayne. Happy birthday. Today for sports, we have girls golf versus at Cedar Knoll at 4 o'clock. Please dismiss the team at 1, and JV football versus Hartford at 6 o'clock. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, Sophia. A couple of late announcements. Students, faculty, and staff, please stop by Fuller Hall today, tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, between 8:30 and 3 to have a new photo taken for your yearbook. There is no cost. Seniors, this is a great way to have your photo submitted and cross that off your to-do list. I know there are some faculty whose photos are probably pushing 20 years, so this might be a great year to get the new one. This past Saturday, Hilltopper Mountain Biking competed at the Cochran's Enduro, and in a field of over 200 riders, 4 Academy students earned top 10 finishes. In the most advanced category, Category A, Tilly Lang won the girls' race, and Kat Zyko finished 10th. In boys' Category B, Forrest Bentley finished 2nd, and Brody Dusso finished 9th. Congratulations, mountain bikers. And JV girls soccer beat South Burlington 2-0. Tanner Kittredge and Willoughby Heath combined for the shutout in goal. Congratulations, JV girls. And finally, I know last week it was announced that we're asking you to have ID badges with you and visible during the day. So as a reminder, we do mean that. We want you to have them on you and visible and not attached to book bags or elsewhere. And I just want to remind you why, because I think it's important. First of all, beyond getting in and out of buildings, we want each of you to be able to do that. That's your key into the electronically magnetized doors. That's your key in. But also, and importantly, it is a quick visual for anyone on campus to recognize that you're part of the St. J community and should be here and moving around on campus. We want to be able to, at a glance, tell whether someone is supposed to be on campus or not. And with a campus with over 30 buildings and people moving around on this open campus, sometimes it's easy if we can tell they haven't been by the main office to pick up a visitor's pass, or they're not supposed to be on campus. So thank you for doing that. If you don't have your badge on, your ID badge on right now, please put it on after chapel. Thank you. So now it's my pleasure to turn the stage over to Mr. Eaton. I'm going to let him explain why he's on stage this morning, but please welcome Mr. Eaton to the stage.
Good morning, everybody. Did you notice Mr. Lenzini looked right over at us when he said to redo your ID badge? I like the 20-year-old photo. That's good stuff. So good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Yes, I am wearing an obnoxiously bright shirt because it is Monday, but also because we commence Constitution Week this week on September 17th, a Monday, actually, 1787. The authors of the Constitution presented the document to state conventions for ratification. And thus we began the process of living under the Constitution in this nation. I'm going to speak about two things I think are super important when it comes to constitutional principles. And I think, or at least I hope, we all can take them to heart and think about where we are in 2025 as a nation. First, the Constitution itself is aspirational and humble simultaneously. We begin with the words, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union." So we recognize immediately that not only do we aspire to be more perfect all the time, but that implies we recognize that we're not, that we have work to do. In fact, the Constitution was replacing what the authors felt was a failed system that they wanted to replace. We also built into the Constitution the ability to amend it, to change it, as time went on. We do so usually in times of tumult and crisis. For example, the Civil War, where we were killing one another because we disagreed over the issue of slavery. Over 600,000 people died in that conflict. We added 3 amendments that we felt were essential to who we wanted to be as a people. The 13th Amendment ended slavery. The 14th Amendment importantly defined citizenship, introduced the notion of due process under the law, and for the first time dealt with the idea of equality, the Equal Protection Clause. We've also amended the Constitution when we felt like voting rights, which are left to the states under Article 1, have been violated or needed to be changed. You notice those in the 15th Amendment right after the Civil War. Also, women gained the vote with the 19th Amendment, and then in the Vietnam era with the 26th Amendment, folks 18 and older can vote. During the Progressive era, we also changed the Constitution a number of times. We introduced the notion of income taxes, direct election of senators, because we felt as though we needed to hold them more accountable. And in the 1960s, we all know, hopefully, having taken U.S. history, or when you take U.S. history, the 60s were a time of tumultuous political unrest. We do away with poll taxes, which were trying to deny people the right to vote. We deal with presidential succession because that also was a time of political assassination, and we wanted to anticipate the possibility, unfortunately, in the future. And when we were sending 18-year-olds off to Vietnam to fight in the war, we decided that they should be able to vote as well. Another extraordinary and important idea in the Constitution, beginning in the Convention itself, was the notion of civil discourse and compromise. Without those two ideas, probably we would fail as a republic. Our experiment in self-government rests on those two notions. In James Madison's notes on the Federal Convention, he lists rules that they agreed to for civil discourse at the convention. Interestingly, only one person could speak on a subject before all others who wished to spoke. They couldn't speak again until that happened. They couldn't pass notes or receive them while others were speaking. Can you imagine that today? Meaning we couldn't be staring at our phones while in the legislature. The other idea is compromise. And while we today may abhor some of the compromises they made at the time, the notion that they needed to compromise in order to begin as a nation is embedded in our fabric and our origins. So in this time, 2025, when we see political violence and we wonder about civil discourse, my challenge to this generation and to those of us from 2 generations before is to return to our roots and reflect on the idea of civil discourse and compromise, the notion that we should listen to one another completely, and, as the governor of Utah said this morning on the news, try to avoid the memification of speech. Listen to one another, hear each other, and be willing to compromise. Have a good day.
Mr. Eaton, thank you. Important message for each of us. Thanks for reminding us of the importance of the Constitution and the conversations that ensued shortly thereafter its founding. This morning, I wanted to share with you, just very briefly, we're settled in. We've had enough school under our belts now that we're at the business of learning, and faculty are at the business of teaching. And so this is a time of year where as we settle in, I think it's important to step back. And again, seniors, my mind turns to you all as I think about this time of year, because this is, in some ways, a bit of a quiet before what could be some stormy weather ahead. And so it's with that in mind that I'd like to encourage you to get out in front of what those storms could be. And so we realize that as you begin this, your last year of what has been a pattern since many of you were even in preschool, you've been coming to school each day, it lasts the whole day, and suddenly you have on the horizon a change in your lives. Some of you are headed off to the workforce, others to the military or university, but you're faced with some weighty decisions. And I would just encourage you to not leave those to the end. And I'll share why in a moment and how we can avoid this. But being overwhelmed is typical for all people. We all get overwhelmed at one time or another. And we know that the pattern, seniors, is that if you wait and you leave things till the final moment, you will get overwhelmed. And so getting out in front and being intentional now can help you avoid that or avoid most of that. Being overwhelmed, interestingly enough, the brain perceives being overwhelmed, having stress, as being a threat, and it actually will release, among other hormones, cortisol, and that cortisol affects how your body handles glucose, and that's an oversimplification, but your science teachers can talk with you more about the ins and outs of insulin and glucagon. But the idea is that you have more sugar available to you, and you're able to respond and either fly, get away from the situation, or fight. And so those are two responses that come with being threatened, or in this case, overwhelmed. So as you think ahead, and you probably know yourselves pretty well, you know how you respond to stress. Do you get cranky, and do you start to be impatient with those around you? Do you avoid? And I laugh when I think we have a little bit of family history. My wife, it said when she was a little kid, she would go to daycare, and it would be absolute chaos at pickup time, and her flight mode was avoidance. She would be sleeping under a table while there was absolute pandemonium, screaming and shouting and running around her. That's the extreme of avoiding. But for us, many of us do try to sleep a bit more. You try to avoid maybe what's there and what's waiting for you. So as I tie this up, what I want to encourage you to do is right now, this is the right time to start asking for help. So don't be ashamed to ask others to help you out. If you're already feeling overwhelmed or you're not quite sure what to do, be it a college application, be it that decision that you're trying to make about what's next after the end of this year, don't be afraid to ask for help, to say, I need a little frame up here. What do you think? So the folks around you who support you, your friends, and the adults on this campus, they want to see you do well, and they don't want to see you overwhelmed. So again, as you think ahead, knowing that weighty decisions are ahead, try to get out in front of those and ask those around you to give you a hand. Have a great day, faculty.